Sagittarius Zodiac, February 2026. February month prediction. Health. The stars do not forecast problems for your health, and the augury is auspicious indeed, with a little caution thrown in. There are some grounds to be apprehensive about sudden acute ailments like fever or inflammations. These should be treated without delay. There are no grounds for any serious worry, but still the immediate treatment indicated is equally essential. Further, under the circumstances, that is in a favorable period when the stars are beneficially placed, there may be no danger, although for you there is possibility of some trouble associated with the head. It would, therefore, do no harm to have a tonic for the head, and treat this merely as a precautionary measure. Finance. A somewhat trying period ahead of you insofar as your financial prospects are concerned, and the stars are not likely to be very helpful. There would be less self-confidence and courage, which would make you incapable of much initiative. This would be reflected in all your efforts, which will get nowhere near success. Further, the circumstances would not help much either. Delays and hurdles would mar any progress that you might make through the dint of your effort. In short, a negative spell of circumstances. The climate would also be far from congenial for investment. Therefore, if you have any plans, shelve them, and further stay away from risks of all sorts. Profession. The signs for your professional prospects are not very propitious. There would be a lot of travel, but the entire exercise could be quite pointless, since it is unlikely to bear much fruit. Still there are some chance of a journey eastward bringing in some gains. Also your style work could be fraught with an element of risk which should be suitably attended to prevent any serious eventuality. A good deal of hard work will fail to get you any nearer to your objectives. Exercise patience. Also there is a distinct possibility of a serious conflict with some of your colleagues. With cool-headed behavior you can avoid such unpleasant situations. Education. Nothing very favorable about the augury from the stars, insofar as your education prospects for this month are concerned. Technical students might have to work much harder to retain their normal ranking. Most of you would also not have sufficient drive and motivation to get to the top. This is something you would have to work up for and form your own inner resources. With grit and determination this can be done. Those sitting for a competitive examination would also have problems and they would do well to go in for extra coaching. This might turn out to be the deciding factor. This month you must be determined to do well, and persevere in your efforts. Travel. Not a very fruitful month for gains from travel since the augury from the stars is none too favorable on this score. Business or jobs requirements would make it necessary for you to travel around the country a good deal. You would travel alone, and almost all of it would be by train or by road. These efforts will, however, be nowhere near as successful as they would be in a normal month. Further, there is a distinct possibility of an injury or some other physical trouble during the course of your sojourns. The more adventurously inclined would be more likely to face difficulties of this nature. The most favorable direction would be east. Roughly this too may not be a beneficial month. Family. This month your family would face rough weather on most fronts, because the configuration of stars facing you is far from favorable. Some of you would see your relations with your brothers go bitter, to the extent that an extremely unpleasant situation could come about. Exercise patience and refuse to be provoked into any kind of confrontation. Further, you must not allow pointless suspicions to take hold of you, facing which your relations with your wife could develop serious tensions. Children would not help very much either. You should pay much greater attention and supervise their activities much more carefully. Children. A month during which parents have much to be careful about insofar as the affairs of their children are concerned, since the stars are not too favorable placed. There is a distinct possibility of an injury or some other physical trouble to the wards of a large number of you people. This would be especially true of those who are adventurously inclined, such as sportsmen. Such among your wards must be dissuaded from taking unnecessary risks. The fair percentage of them would also tend to behave in an unusual manner, quarreling with their brothers and creating a nuisance. Parents should deal with this very firmly. God bless you. God bless you.